Common.
Very good evening, Navi sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah.
So that course what you are talking about, module G for that Nalsar guys.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, sir.
Actually, they've already gone through the whole this thing. Okay. In fact, I shared with you the question paper. Did you go through it?
No, not yet, sir. Not yet. Actually,
I want your feedback on that question paper. Okay.
Okay. 1 minute. 1 minute. You had sent it in WhatsApp only, no?
WhatsApp only.
I'll go through it by evening.
Just to indicate to you the rigors of what they have gone through. Not that all these people have passed it. Only yesterday the examination was over. Okay. A lot of people are struggling with the paper anyway.
Okay. That is your questions are always great.
No. Basically, it was an open book examination for them. So how can you give? They don't know that I have to set the paper. Yeah. Okay.
Nalsar University of Advanced Diploma in Cyber Security and Data Protection. Okay.
Did you get what I said? They do not know that I have set the paper.
I got it.
Okay. But anyway, we are all part of a group, WhatsApp group. So I know how they struggled for that. So just, I thought that anyway, they have gone through this. So in fact, it has covered GDPR, CCPA, Canada law, UK law, and Singapore law. Okay. Of course, from the perspective of a lawyer, mostly, you can say. Right. It is not a compliance-oriented thing. It is a law-oriented thing because it's done by a college.
Right.
So that is a slight difference. But anyway, I thought that we can offer to them that we will provide them an opportunity of a direct entry to the examination. We will fix some fees, something like 4,000 rupees or something like that.
Yeah.
Let them take the exam, and if they pass, and they are also, I have said all the people who passed that, I don't know how many of them will pass. About 100, 150 students were there, I think. So let us see. It's also a kind of marketing for us in a way. And all of them are from the industry. They will all be actually very good.
No, I saw some of them, their introduction, from Deloitte to Siemens to not bad, sir, not bad. And they're all privacy officers. And I am sure, and these guys are going to be our ambassadors, what I call.
Yeah.
They need to be really. So
normally every batch, the quality of people is good, actually.
Give me a session now, sir, along with you. Topic.
No, actually, I am invited by the Nalsar for the sessions. That's
understood. I'm saying just to showcase our. No, you are there. I'm not. I'm saying, for them to get more FDPPI, no problem. Okay, good.
Now that we are getting them into our fold.
Yes.
Let us try to build on that. We'll also get a reach for this thing, because there were I didn't handle all the sessions. Of course, I wrote all the content, but some of the sessions were handled by some other industry people.
I will forward one document to you. Okay, somewhere suddenly I saw today. So searching the net, I got one article written by somebody, data privacy officer, Microsoft, comparing the GDPR and HIPAA. What I was talking to you. First class documents are first class. I'll forward it to you. I have it in my office laptop. I will forward it to my personal, and then I will from there I will give you that PDF file. Just to go through it. Believe me. Nice thought. Nothing you and me know. Trust me. Whatever that he is talking about, but the way he had beautifully summarized it. I really liked that article. You will like it. I'll forward it to you. Tomorrow I have that session in my office. I'm giving the final touches to my slide deck.
Okay. Mm,
So I will do it tomorrow 1 hour. Then I will repeat the same thing for our FDPPI crowd on 2nd March. We have agreed. So 2nd March is January. 3rd, I have my management review meeting, big meeting. Then 4th is our IACC, right?
Yeah.
And you have to tell me, okay, what you want me to go through for that IACC. Like we will have a kind of good discussion amongst ourselves, so that it will be a decent job. Okay, please.
Now I'm waiting for 1 more week to finalize the content for that. Okay.
Sure.
I want to make it as a industry view of TPA 2021.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
So from the perspective of the industry, we will try to say, so that most of it will be on what are the challenges for compliance. Okay.
Make me as the co-host in the meantime, so that I can help you. Okay.
One minute. Yeah.
Good idea, sir. Good idea, because like this only we need to hit the industry. So that before anyway, the law now next session only, right?
I think so. Anyway, still there is time. We don't know.
But it is not there, right, in the agenda or whatever.
I have not seen so far. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's why I am also trying to finalize the training also and launch it. Okay. Because it will take another few months now. Monsoon session means it will go to May.
Correct. And it all depends on now the result of that March 10th, trust me.
Yeah, that is true.
If they are coming in a good way, big way, then they are confident that, the policies of this is getting acceptance, then they can go in. Otherwise, the way now today that KCR to Mamta to Stalin to Pinarayi Vijayan to, if Akhilesh Yadav also joins in that band, believe me, BJP will have tough time. They will not unnecessarily put their head on anything, I'll tell you. Till at least 2024 election, they will maintain the status quo and ensure that only freebies and good bees and, some strong action might not happen is what I feel. Correct, no, sir?
Possible.
Sir, sir, today, Wednesday. Okay, after this call, I will check with my auditor.
Nothing. I have not received any.
That person also not replied, right?
Yeah.
Very bad, sir. I'll do one thing because I'm in the CC and I'm Ramesh, so I will send a mail to him now.
Yeah.
Correct, no? Did you get the mail from Mr. Navi? Can I expect you to get back to us quickly? I will put one mail.
Yeah.
What are all uncertainties in life, sir? Because this is exactly a kind of a big example for a risk, in my opinion. This is purely an unknown. You cannot even think that in this direction. Now it is. We have seen it. We had gone through it. Then Goel General. Hello.
Yeah. Nobody else is there.
Yeah, no. I was asking you. No discussion and all, right? After that.
No discussion.
Good.
No discussion.
Who has come in? Advocate Dr. Limaye.
Yeah, you are the co-host now.
Yeah. I had already admitted it. Summer started now, sir, comfortably.
Yeah.
But early morning and night little bit cold. Dr. Limaye, very good evening. He is not connected, is it? Yeah. Sir, this my photo comes now. Did you see?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you remember that last time I told you?
Mm.
Now I understand, sir. It is expecting you to sign in, and then after signing into Zoom,
Mm.
you join a meeting using the join meeting option.
Okay.
Otherwise, you are bypassing it, so it doesn't recognize you. Basically, Zoom app is not invoked. That's all on your browser.
Mhm.
Good evening, Dr. Limaye.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Hemant is joining.
Yeah. He has just asked how to join.
Yeah. Brigadier.
Yeah, Brigadier Hemant Mahajan. Today's speaker.
Yeah.
Today Zoom is giving some problem. What you were mentioning, signing in.
No. You are seeing my photo, right? Now, Ramesh Venkatraman.
Yeah.
Earlier, many of this thing, it was not coming. So, I was trying to understand why. Then I realized it. If I have not go to Zoom, sign into Zoom, and after signing in, I'm using the join meeting option. Otherwise, Zoom doesn't put that profile onto the screen.
Yeah.
How did you contact Brigadier?
Yeah, just a second. I'm coming on the line. I was just saving my this thing, Just give me a second.
Sir, I followed writings of Brigadier Mahajan, and his contact number was mentioned. So one of the article was related to some cyber war, etc. And in that context, I contacted Brigadier, sir. And thereafter, we are just exchanging some messages.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the line now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome, Brigadier.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
I am Navi.
On presentation.
So
I'll. I think you'll have to give me that option of.
Yes. We will make you as the co-host. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Then you can share your screen. Navi sir.
I
Now.
did it.
Yeah.
And
Brigadier.
I will also make Limi also.
Yeah. Brigadier, now you are a co-host. You will have. You will be able to share the screen. You can share, and then we will confirm it with you.
Yeah. Only thing is, I'm not able to detect it right now.
Okay.
No. You just try share screen. You should be able to get it.
There is an option down. Yeah, it is coming
it's
now.
coming.
It is coming. Beautiful. It's
But,
done now.
I think you are on desktop sharing. If you want, you can do the PPT sharing.
No, sir. PPT only is sharing. He has to press that back arrow key on the PPT.
Yeah. Just a second.
Sure. He's saving the file.
Being saved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. That's all, sir.
Yeah. Can you see the full screen now?
Very much. Now we can come down to. That's all. Very good, sir. Thank you. It's fine now. Absolutely fine.
I'll just make it on this thing. Yeah. Okay. So you tell me whenever you want me to start.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Sure.
Otherwise, I take it that the people are from all over India and not restricted to one geographical zone.
Correct, sir.
Yeah, so I'll be speaking in English, no problem. So you tell me.
Yeah. Sir, basically, these are all professionals. What I brief you, it is for the organization known as Federation of Data Privacy Professionals in India.
Okay.
And Mr. Navi Jaishankar is our chairperson, who is very loved person in this particular field, and its views are very much appreciated across India.
Okay.
And he has developed a lot of mechanism for data privacy.
Okay.
So almost we have as a FDPPI more than around 300 members.
Yeah.
And being a working day, we are not sure how much people will join right now.
Okay.
But since presentation is available on means recorded version is available, people can access it afterwards. And this part 2 Jnanvardhini, we are bringing speakers who are not directly associated with data privacy movement, but who understands the concerns about data privacy. And that's why we are roping in speakers from different fields, different walks of life. And with that particular intention in mind, I thought of inviting you as a speaker, because you have written a lot of articles on cyber security or national security, proxy war with China, etc. And we thought that we will be also glad to hear your views and exchange some of the concerns about data privacy, which we as a FDPPI have in our mind. So that was the main intention.
Okay.
And broadly, our audience size is possibly 30-35. That's what we expect normally. Maybe larger this time. We don't know, because it's since not compare, we can't compel people to join this particular session. We have our publicity as much as we can, but it's up to audience who will be joining. But it will be from different walks of life, mostly technological background peoples, and few lawyers would be there.
Okay. Okay.
Navi
And just
sir,
a glass of water. Just give me 1 second.
yeah. Sir, you mentioned last time, Mr. Somebody, RV, I don't know his name. He wants to have some session. Old fellow, Mr. Vishwanath.
PB Vishwanath.
PB Vishwanath. So
Yeah,
if he is interested, we can schedule next talk with him, because Dr. Balsingh Rajput has postponed his talk in March.
He's available on our group.
Okay, I will coordinate with him.
Coordinate with him. Okay.
Yeah. Navi sir, if you want to interact with Brigadier Mahajan, sir.
Okay, I will interact. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Let him speak. Okay.
So what I do, I'll speak for about 45 minutes. The subject is very vast, and I'll give you an overview of national security, and then we'll have about 10-15 minutes for interaction, because these days everybody national security, our starting point is no more a subject of experts, no more a subject of security forces. It is a subject of a common human being, or a common Indian. Because it is all entered in your laptops, it is entered in your mobiles, it is entered in your houses, So if some bad message comes to you, you have to decide for yourself whether it is worth following or whether it's right or wrong, So I'll give you a whole thing, and I'll very broadly cover up the way the warfare has changed into our country and present status, and more important, what can we do as a, let's say, an honest, patriotic citizen. We all are information warriors as far as national security is concerned.
Yeah.
So you tell me when should I start, and I'll do the. I have a lot of.
Sure.
We will have to wait beyond 7, a couple of minutes. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Samirji.
Good evening, Samir. Ramesh here.
Good evening, Ramesh. How are you?
Fine, sir. Great, thank you.
Brigadier, we want actually the industry people to realize that information security in the corporate scenario is part of the national security. Okay, that integration of individual security systems with the global, you can say, vision is perhaps missing today in the industry. That's why when, say, data breach incidents happen, people don't report to CERT because they think protecting their reputation is more important than looking at the national impact. So I think you should see how we can try to motivate them.
Yeah.
It's of course like attitude in every other things. People are selfish. We want to protect ourselves, whatever happens to the nation. Okay.
In fact, the biggest problem in our country today is, everybody wants everybody else to be patriotic, but he himself will use all means, fair or foul, to rise in the field where he is.
Yeah.
Rise you must, but by fair means and by nationalist means.
Mm. See, even we are talking of data localization. People are not happy with data localization. See, again, it is because people really are not concerned with the development in India. So security is one aspect.
Yeah. Not only that, what happens is today, last almost 2.5 years, the government is fighting tooth and nail to ensure that the difference between import and export with China is reduced,
Yeah.
And they have gone in for Atmanirbhar Bharat, and I'll speak a bit about it. But despite trying for nearly 2.5 years in a very, very serious manner, the government is, or this country has failed miserably. I would say government has failed. The country is failed because the corporate world, there are n number of people who are convinced that China is the only country they can trade with, and China follows all the means, fair and foul, to ensure that you do not go to anybody else. So they are very, very clear. They think with economic domination, they can dominate the world. I'll speak about all these things in a very brief manner. Let's wait.
True.
Good evening, Navi sir, Mahendra Limay sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe before we start, can I ask a small question if it is covered in the presentations, because we are talking about China. All this talk about Huawei backdoors. How much reality is it, and how much is it really a trade war between the US and China? What is the reality? Does anybody know, and how can it ever be established with evidence?
Have you asked me a question? If you have, just speak loudly. I didn't get you correctly.
Yeah. All this Huawei equipment backdoors allegations and issues that are keep flying around, right? On that, what's the reality as a from a defense point of view or even otherwise? Is it likely that any concrete evidence would ever be found to nail backdoors in telecom equipment in the networks, or will you just keep reading allegations and counter allegations flying back and forth without any evidence?
Okay, I don't have any access to government secrets, but I can tell you this much, with whatever little contact I have, this particular government is quite serious, and our cyber security is improved quite a lot. And in fact, one of the persons who's dealing with it is a person called Lieutenant General Pant, he is the boss of that organization called MSCC. I'll show you that logo later. And they are very active on it. And I'm told that they are by and large aware of what China is doing or not doing. Only thing is, where the problem comes up is, in the decision making, how to respond to the threat that you have faced. Now, I'll give you one very specific example, to tell you as to what is the government's dilemma, about last year, there was an attack on the Bombay, on the electricity grid of Mumbai. And the grid collapsed for nearly 12 hours. It was a proper cyber attack by China, not the least doubt about it. Now, the government came to know, and if you have followed the thing in the newspapers, the energy minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Raut, and energy minister of the country, you know.
No, उसके बाद there is no.
Initially, they said it was a Chinese attack, and then they just kept quiet about it. The reason I'm told was that the Chinese had, I mean, it was very clear that it was a Chinese attack, no doubt on that issue. But Chinese had also left one kind of a balloon behind, saying, hey, this was only attack on one thing, but we have the capability to knock out all your grids. After all, Mumbai grid is only one part, you know. So now it is something like, you know, Pune city from where I'm coming. You just say there's a bomb lying somewhere in Pune city. Now I can't take it lightly, unfortunately. I have to search the whole Pune city and find out whether it's a bomb is actually there or not. And for all you know, after 10, 12 hours of search, you will come to know that it was not true, you know, it was just this thing. So this is exactly what Chinese do when I talk of hybrid war, you know. Capability is there. How much capability they have used is something that remains. And the most important is the counter to this. That is where our weakness lies. You know, unfortunately, the Ministry of External Affairs or the Foreign Minister is the one who has got a lot of influence on the Chinese policy, you know, Indo-Chinese policy, that is. And they are in Marathi called as Godboles. You know what's Godbole? Godbole.
Okay.
Talking sweetly. What people don't realize is that diplomacy or Godbole may work with other countries, but not with China and Pakistan. They understand a language of force. But more of it later. We can, whenever you tell me, we can.
Sure, sir. So, welcome all for this special session of Jnanvardhini. Today we have one eminent personality with him. I will introduce him briefly because his profile is so huge. We will be coming to know about his capabilities in his session. So I leave that part for Brigadier to explain. I'll just introduce briefly Brigadier. Brigadier Hemant Mahajan is highly studied person. He is MSc and MPhil in Defense Studies and joined Indian Army on 15 June 1975. He commanded 7th Maratha Light Infantry in Operation Rakshak during highest insurgency in Kashmir, for which he was awarded Yuddha Seva Medal, what you are seeing in his profile, YSM, and his entire infantry got awarded. To tell more about Brigadier, he is writing regularly in various newspapers and he is regular making his appearance on various TV channels, debates on topics related to strategies of Indian Army on various situations, on backdrop of different situations. So today we will be having totally what I will say new subject for FDPPI persons, that is national security on backdrop of hybrid war with China through Brigadier Hemant Mahajan. So I invite Brigadier sir, and just to add this particular backdrop of topic, recently again government has blocked another Chinese apps. So this is how these things are going. Previously, few months ago, few Chinese apps were banned. Again, yesterday only, additional Chinese apps were banned. So we will like to hear from Brigadier. Only we have to follow discipline because now we are dealing with military person and we are civilians in their language. So we should follow the discipline. He will be explaining or providing his PPT and then there will be Q&A session. So now I invite Brigadier sir. Sir, you can start your session.
Okay,
Welcome.
Thank you very much for your kind remarks and introducing me. The subject that I've been given is national security on the backdrop of hybrid war with China and Pakistan. Of course, I'll cover it up, and I will cover it up with the help of a PowerPoint presentation. I'm sure you possibly can see the presentation on a screen. What I will do is I will show you some slides, give you some explanation, and try to explain to you as to how the national security has evolved itself in India since 1947 when we became independent. Now this word, what is this word hybrid war? You know, very briefly I'll talk more in detail when the slide comes. But let me tell you what is hybrid war. We had a conventional war in which the armies of the nations used to fight with each other. We fought a war with Pakistan in 47, another war with Pakistan in 1965, another one in 1971, another one in Kargil in 99. These were the conventional wars. Army fought army, navy fought navy, air force fought air force. But the hybrid war is something different. So I'll tell you about what hybrid war is. Hybrid war is been given a few other names also. It is also called as unrestricted war. The Chinese call it unrestricted war. The Chinese authors or the Chinese military said to win a war, there is nothing fair or foul. You can use any method to subdue a nation that you want to subdue. Unrestricted war, I'll talk more about it later. Then it's also called as a multi-domain war. Meaning you can fight in all the domains. You can fight at a diplomatic level, you can fight at a military level, you can fight at a, let's say, economic level, you can fight at a cyber level, you can fight at propaganda level. So there are many levels at which you will fight. So you have hybrid war, you have unrestricted war, you have multi-domain war, you have also what is called as a gray zone warfare. Now I will not get into too much into detail of what are the bookish definitions of all this, but this word has been used twice by General Naravane, the Chief of Army Staff. He said that gray zone war is going on. China is carrying out gray zone war against us. What is gray zone war? You have a war like 1947 or 62 or 65, and then you have what is called as peace. But in between war and a peace, the many activities take place. They are called gray zone activities, which is basically to subdue the other nation. Today, these days in the news is the Ukraine crisis. Very briefly, I'll talk about Ukraine. Ukraine was a country, Ukraine was a part of erstwhile USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic. And when USSR broke down and Russia became separate and all other countries became separate, so Ukraine also came out. Now, for last 2 months, in fact, yesterday, today, if some of you watch Marathi TV channels, you may have seen my face there. The Marathi TV channels had gone crazy, or for that matter, even the world had gone crazy because they were saying a war is imminent as far as Ukraine is concerned. Russia has amassed troops worth about 1.5 lakhs, and they gave me number of tanks that they have, number of guns that they have, number of helicopter gunship that they have, number of aircraft that they have concentrated. So if you would have noticed my comments, I had said there will be no war. This is a gray zone warfare. The Russians are threatening the Western world, but they will not go in for a conventional war. It is not easy for a so-called expert to give his opinion such firmly when the whole world is saying a war is imminent, and the Bombay Stock Exchange crashed 3-4 times in last 1 week, because Ukraine war may start and the oil prices may go up. There will be an energy crisis in India and so on and so forth. And I was one of the loners who was saying, no, there's going to be no conventional war. I repeat, there's a gray zone war which is going on. So gray zone war and all these is what I'll talk about. Now, what I want to tell you is this hybrid war and national security today is a part for everybody. It is not restricted to now security forces. It is not restricted to only, let's say, experts. It is not restricted only to Indian Army. And it is going on for 365 days in a year. And one example of this war I'll give you is, now some people call it Corona, some people call it COVID-19, but it is actually a Chinese virus which had paralyzed the world for nearly 2 years plus, And if you remember, the damage that this biological war or biological world war which China has launched against India and against the whole world has cost us much more than all the wars put together. And the economic war is still continuing. So how do you tackle now? We are told now the third wave is not coming, or it did come adequately. But however, it's various other things will come. And then you have Pakistan helping China. So this is one thing that we must also talk about. I'll speak about media very briefly. When we talk of media, we mean the print media. Print media is in Marathi, English, Hindi, and many regional languages. Okay. Then there is the electronic media. There are more than 750 channels today in our country which broadcast news, And if you see, these channels get you scared so much that if you watch these channels, you will think that something amiss is going to happen next day morning. And next day morning, when you get up, you find nothing much has happened. World was the same as you left it when you went to sleep at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. at night time. But there's a great French general called Napoleon Bonaparte who had said long time back that 4 hostile newspapers are to be feared more than 10,000 soldiers. 10,000 soldiers is equal to 4 hostile newspapers. And if the hostile newspapers today, the number is as high as we have today, then what is the, let's say, quantification in terms of soldiers? Now, there's also another thing called the electronic media, which is broadcasting news every day, 24 hours a day, trying to break news. I don't know what is breaking news about it. So, how do you quantify the soldiers ratio to the electronic media? And there's another Bhasmasur called the social media, consisting of the Facebook, the WhatsApp, the emails, the SMS, Instagram, Twitter, and so on and so forth. And I'm not even going to talk about the dark web, A dark web, once in a while people talk about it as to what is the dark web. But well, that's the internet which is not seen unless you have a special password, etc. Okay. So the media warfare is another problem area. Today, the country's enemy is trying to sow an idea into your mind that this country has no future. Its economy cannot prosper. It will have a problem, and whatever negative things happen in the country, they get highlighted again and again in the media. So thereby creating an atmosphere of despondency that this country has no future. Well, that is not the case. Look at India's map and look at the neighbors. You all know the neighbors: Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, etc. I'll not get into it too much. But what I want to tell you is the history of warfare, very briefly as far as India is concerned. In a very brief manner, India became independent in 1947, and immediately a war between India and Pakistan started, also called as the 1947-48 war. This war lasted for nearly 1 year, which we won. The next war was 1962 with China. The third war was with Pakistan in 1965, which lasted for nearly 4 weeks, which we won. Then the next war was of 1971, in which we split Pakistan into 2 parts. Bangladesh became an independent country, so that was the 71 war. And the last conventional war was 99, also called as Operation Vijay or called as Kargil War, which we won. And then there are some great heroes like Captain Vijayan, Lieutenant Vijayan Thapar, and Captain Vikram Batra, etc. Okay. So after losing the 1971 war, Pakistan realized that fighting a conventional war with India was not easy, and it could never win the conventional war. So they started off a new set of war called as Operation Karakoram, or call it terrorism, or call it extremism. Now, Operation Karakoram had three parts: K1, K2, and K3. K1 was Khalistani terrorism, K2 was Kashmir terrorism, and K3 was terrorism in rest of the country. I'll not talk about, there's no time to talk about the Khalistani terrorism now. Its back was broken in 1990, but Pakistan is still trying to create, recreate a part of this Khalistani terrorism. And you hear a lot of extremists who are located in England, Canada, Europe, etc., trying to talk about Khalistan. However, drug terrorism in Punjab today is rampant, and 50% of the Punjab youth is today addicted with drugs. Kashmir is well known. Kashmir, we talk about it almost every day. At least twice a week, an encounter takes place in which some terrorists get killed. But Kashmir today is on a low as far as terrorism is concerned. Details may be later. And K3 is the terrorism in rest of the country. We started having bomb blasts in Mumbai for the first time in 1993. Thereafter, every year we had 2 to 3 bomb blasts in one of our biggest cities. But these bomb blasts stopped suddenly after the surgical strike. Pakistan is now scared. We had 2 surgical strikes. One was first one in which we killed about 35-40 terrorists. The army went inside and killed. The special forces went inside and killed number of terrorists. And second one was post Pulwama. Pulwama was there just about few days back, and then the Air Force went and struck the training camp at Balakot, in which 300 plus terrorists are supposed to have died. Thereafter, Pakistan today is quite scared of carrying out terror attacks in the rest of the India. Attack from the sea, attack in cities, etc. is not easy. So therefore, they are on a low key. So this is how Pakistan today, that definitely carrying out a very proactive action against Pakistan has helped. Now look at India in a very broad manner. If you have to keep the country safe, then we have to secure land borders and we have to secure the sea borders. The land borders are nearly 16,000 kilometers. You can have a look at it. These are all the land borders. Okay. And we have borders with Pakistan, China, with Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, etc. And then we have a coastal borders, or call it the sea borders, which is nearly 7,600 kilometers all along the coastline. India is lucky that we have a two set of island territories. One is in what is called as Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and second is the Lakshadweep and Minicoy Islands. These give you a line of sea fortresses deep inside the sea. If you have to keep the country secure, we have to ensure that we guard it properly, stop infiltration. I must tell you, firstly, I must tell you very briefly as to what are the threats from the border areas. What comes inside? Initially, terrorists used to come, then arms, ammunition, explosives used to come. Now, drugs are coming. Now, terrorists coming from the borders is restricted to only the Kashmir border. But what comes very regularly are the drugs, gold comes, and other forms of smuggling. And illegal trade is a way of life, like with Bangladesh, cattle smuggling is rampant. As far as Pakistan is concerned, drugs are coming a hell of a lot in Punjab and in the border states. And in big cities also today are inundated with drugs. You had that case of Shah Rukh Khan's son. People missed the woods for the trees at that point of time. Everybody was worried about that 22 or 23 years boy who was being harassed by government agencies. What we must understand is the issue is not drug being taken by Shah Rukh Khan's son or ABC. Today, the fact is that there is a lot of drugs which are coming inside our country. And as late as just about last 1 week, the Navy, it was an intelligence operation carried out by the Navy along with the Customs Department. They stopped the ship which is coming from Pakistan and caught drugs with about 3,000 crores international prices. So drugs are coming very, very regularly. So when we talk of guarding borders, this is what we have to stop. Here, I would very briefly tell you that it is only the Pakistani border, especially the LOC, which is guarded by the Indian Army, and the Chinese border, of course, is guarded. The other borders are guarded by other forces, like, for example, the Bangladesh border is guarded by the Border Security Force. The Nepal and the Bhutan border is guarded by the Sima Suraksha Bal. The coastal borders are guarded by the police, by the Coast Guard, and by the Navy, and of course other security forces, including intelligence agencies. So today, active borders are basically with Pakistan and China. Rest are all used for smuggling. Here is one hero who was martyred in the Battle of Galwan with China, late Colonel Babu of 16 Bihar. In this, we lost 20 of our soldiers. The Chinese lost nearly 70 of them. And here was another hero who was martyred. He belongs to SFF, Special Frontier Force. This is the force of Tibetans which the Indian Army has raised, and this will be used against China whenever the time comes. Okay. Now look at this map. It tells you a location of India and China. India is surrounded by sea. India is a peninsular country. It is surrounded by sea from three sides. It is not landlocked. Unlike China, which is almost landlocked, and its sea borders are only this much. If in a war want to stop the Chinese trade, it can be blocked. India cannot be economically be blockaded as far as the sea is concerned, because we have a huge border. Okay. Now this is the border with China at three places. Border which is linked up with the state of J&K, that is basically now Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. Then in between, the border here is that is with Sikkim, and then you have the border with Arunachal Pradesh. So three places, nearly 3,600 kilometers of border that is there, and the Indian Army is guarding it. Disputed areas, why China is fighting with us, etc. I'll skip. I'll quickly come down to the clash with China, which took place in the month of May, and China came inside May 2020 at 4 places. It has gone back at 2 places, but 2 places it is still dragging its feet, and this hybrid war with China is going to continue. China, talking of hybrid war, another example I mentioned Ukraine in the passing when I introduced my topic. Now today in Ukraine, Russia has not fired even a single bullet just by carrying out propaganda warfare and massing troops there on the Ukraine border from 3 directions. Russia has ensured that the Americans have once again run away from Ukraine. The Europeans have evacuated from Ukraine. And finally, now even the Indian government has told nearly 20,000 students of ours studying medicine in Ukraine to come back as fast as possible. So this is what is gray zone warfare or a hybrid war, without firing a bullet, but just by massing troops and by scaring people by propaganda warfare. You have ensured that the Americans and the Europeans and everybody else has run away. Okay, now this is the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Very broadly, the area what is shown in the red is the Aksai Chin area, which was taken away by China before the 62 war. Then you have an area which is, this is shown in green. This is basically the Pakistani occupied Kashmir, which went to Pakistan in 1947. Indian Army had almost reached somewhere in between, and all this area would have been with us. We had reached almost short of a place called Muzaffarabad, which is the capital of Pakistani occupied Kashmir. But the rulers at that point of time, they believed in peacenik methods, and they said, get the army back, let us be very generous with Pakistan, and therefore they wanted to be generous, but it hasn't helped. Indian Kashmir can be divided into 3 parts. Now, of course, Ladakh has become a separate union territory. This is the Ladakh, nearly 4 lakh population. Then you have the Kashmir or Jammu and Kashmir. This complete area consists of 2 broad areas. One is the area of Kashmir Valley, which is in between, and surrounded by hills on all sides of Kashmir Valley, called as the Pir Panjal, or also called as the area of down south. You have an area of Jammu, Udhampur, Akhnur, Punch, etc. Okay. Now I'll not get into the Chinese thing, but these are the finger areas on the Galwan. This is the Pangang Tso Lake area. Just have a look at it. If I start describing actions, you'll have a problem. We'll have a problem of time frame. These are the fingers which come down. These are the re-entrants which are there. And this is the Pangang Tso Lake, which is nearly 130 kilometers long, 2 to 3 kilometers broad. And Chinese basically have included, if I start introducing each of the maps, then possibly we'll run extremely short of time. But this is an area which has been intruded upon by China. Okay. Now this is the Pangang Tso Lake, a smaller map, and Indian Army surprised them at 2 places. One was at Galwan Valley. They did not expect Indian Army to kill so many soldiers. For the first time since 1978, Chinese Army's blood was shed on the border. The last war which China fought was in 78, no war thereafter. Okay. Now Indian Army also surprised them by occupying all the heights which is south of Pangang Tso Lake. You can see the Indian names, etc. Helmet Top and Black Top and Moldo Post and Gurung Hill, etc. The Chinese were really surprised, and that taught them a lesson. And however, they know that we cannot use the army in that area. So therefore, they have decided to just keep on hanging on where they are. Now we are talking of diplomacy, but diplomacy is not going to help. The Chinese roads have reached our borders, but now we have improving now. And today, our road program, call it the infrastructure program, is proceeding in a big way. Biological war, I'll not talk about. Everybody knows of Corona. Everybody knows what is to be done. But what is important to know that all of us are soldiers as far as this war is concerned. And not only here, all of us are information warriors as far as the hybrid war is concerned. I will skip about the other element, etc. Now, Northeast today, when I talk of hybrid war, Northeast had a bit of insurgency in the area of Nagaland, Manipur, etc. You can see them in Mizoram. By and large, the insurgency is at a very low key, but the Chinese are trying to again ensure that the insurgency is fueled once again. And you would remember about 3 months back, there's an ambush carried out of 46 Assam Rifle CO, late Colonel Tripathi was martyred along with his wife and his 8-year-old son. This ambush was done by a group from Nagaland called NSCN Khaplang, a National Security Council of Nagaland called Khaplang. The Chinese are aiding them. The Manipur, there are some groups which are active. Manipur goes for the election right now, but there are some groups which are active there also. Otherwise, as far as Sikkim is concerned, it is quiet. Arunachal Pradesh is quiet. Meghalaya is quiet. Assam, there is no problem. Tripura, there is no problem. Mizoram, there is no problem. The Chinese are creating a problem in the states of Manipur and Nagaland. Okay. And you would also remember that the Indian Army, at least on 3 occasions, went into Myanmar, carried out surgical strike there. It was called as Operation Sunrise. Those of you who are interested in following it or following these kind of operations, you can go on my YouTube. Just go on the YouTube, put my name there, Brig Hemant Mahajan YSM, and you will find my YouTube channel there. And you have nearly 300 plus videos on various aspects of national security in English, Marathi, and Hindi. If the title is in Marathi, the video will be in Marathi. If the title is in English, the video will be in English. So depending upon the language that you follow, the subject that interests you, you can go and see it. Now, as far as history of 47 warfare is concerned, I have kind of covered it a bit in a very short manner. But now let us talk about the hybrid war, the subject that I'm supposed to be covering today. Hybrid war is defined as a military strategy which employs political warfare and blends conventional warfare with irregular warfare with cyber warfare. Now, this is a subject that will interest you because I'm told most of you are from a legal background and most of you are from a IT background. And then there are many other influencing methods such as fake news, diplomatic warfare, foreign electoral intervention. Today, there was a news that in the Australia, Chinese are intruding in a big way, and a lot of Australian politicians have been given money to fight elections. Similarly, no person less than Donald Trump, the previous president of USA, has said that the Chinese interfered in the into the elections of USA. Similarly, some of the European countries, especially France, has accused China of interference. And as far as interference in India is concerned, well, there are supporters which China and Pakistan have in some of our political parties. The number is very small, may not be more than 100, 150 individuals. But the fact is, they do get a lot of publicity. Diplomatic warfare, electoral. I'll talk about all this thing later. Now, hybrid warfare is actually a combination of all kinds of war. Military aspects I talked about. Now, today, Pakistan is being used as a proxy by China to fight a war against us. It keeps on creating a problem in Kashmir. It keeps on creating a problem in Punjab. It keeps on, creating a problem for us at a certain diplomatic level. As late as a day before yesterday, Pakistan managed to get the Organization of Islamic Nations to talk against India at a world forum. Pakistan will do everything, but Pakistan today is more or less neutralized, though its potential to create terrorism is still there. But as a enemy, as a big enemy, their trouble is limited to creating only terrorist activities and refueling insurgency or terrorism in Punjab and helping the Chinese in other methods. Okay, diplomatic warfare is stopping India at various world bodies. You would remember that China ensured that you do not become a part of the United Nations Security Council. It stopped you from going at a nuclear suppliers group by which you could have had a modern reactors from the rest of the world. They have stopped you. They bought the WHO, World Health Organization. World Health Organization should have told the world about the Chinese virus and how it was spreading. Rather than that, they decided to keep quiet and did nothing about it. So China has spent a lot of money in buying the world bodies. Now there are irregular warfare. I talked about insurgency in Northeast. Let's talk about Naxals, Maoists, left-wing extremists, and left-wing terrorists. You are all aware that today, central part of the country, especially the states of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, and Orissa, Naxalism is still going on. And about 15 to 20% of area in the country today, in the central part, especially in Dandakaranya, is under the influence of the Naxals or under the terrorist, under the threat of Naxals. Then you have a media war. Now, media war, utilizing media. Now, media, I told you about media. You have the print media, you have the electronic media, you have the social media. Now, Chinese ensure that they penetrate our media and write articles, our own people writing article against the nation in our media. But can we write article against China in the Chinese media? Can we penetrate the Chinese print media? No. Can we penetrate their electronic media? No. Can we penetrate their social media? It's a laughable question simply because nobody can penetrate Chinese social media, because Chinese social media, they don't follow things like Facebook and Twitter and all. Everything is of the Chinese origin. Since you have IT professionals, China has protected its data very, very well by ensuring that nobody can get access to any of the data. The rest of the world is busy discussing whether you can localize data or not, that kind of a thing. And Chinese must be laughing away to glory, while China has not let the world penetrate into their media, carry out breaches of their security, but China regularly uses this big things like Facebook and Twitter and all to create a problem for us by creating fake, accounts, by creating fake news, etc. If you want to know more about the Chinese media warfare, just about 2 or 3 episodes back, I did a whole episode on the media war. There's a very good book published by an author which talked about Chinese media war against Taiwan, because Taiwan is China's target number 1 in the next few weeks. So the same tactics China is using against us. Political war, I've talked about. Legal war. Now, since some of you are advocates and have a legal background, now let me tell you something very interesting. There was an NGO in Chennai. I won't remember the name. It went to the Madras High Court. It put a thing against an industry called Vedanta, and Vedanta had a copper factory there. And they said this copper factory is polluting the area around, so this copper must be banned. Now this particular the High Court, and High Court has our judiciary does everything except giving justice, and I have a very strong views on that. They poke their nose into subjects which should not concern them directly, but well, that's how things are. The High Court gave a ruling saying that Vedanta should stop producing copper. Now, if Vedanta stops producing copper, what happens? We have started importing copper from Pakistan and China, and today, I think if I know the figures correctly, 40 to 50% of our copper is coming from China. Now, tell me, who's funded this NGO which did this? Now, similarly, when they put a reactor at a place called Kudakulam near this thing. Again, agitation started. This plant should not be there. That was funded by another foreign agency. So, using the laws of our land and stopping progress or developmental activity into our area. This is what we can term as legal warfare, and the Chinese are past masters of it. Chinese use legal warfare against the whole world whenever it suits them. But this about 2 years back, the International Court of Justice gave a ruling that China has intruded into the area of Philippines. Now China says, sorry, we don't recognize International Court of Justice. But otherwise, it has got India bound into a legal warfare. It says that while you may have an army on the Indo-China border, it cannot be used as an army. Army cannot use its weapon like the rifle, the light machine gun, helicopters, etc. Simply because we have signed 4 peace treaties with China from, if I remember it correctly, from 1988 or 89 to about 2004, by which armed forces cannot be used. So they have more or less nullified your armed forces. They can only be used for other means, So that is legal warfare for you. Then big data, war, technology, technological companies, etc. You're aware that we banned nearly 250, 300 Chinese apps because they're stealing our data. Then they were stealing our data by many hardware. Most of the hardware like laptops and electronic goods had bugs embedded in it. So that's how we decided not to go in for Chinese hardware, be it Huawei, be it anybody else. As far as 5G or 6G is concerned, we have decided that it is the Indian companies which will be whose expertise we will use to graduate to 5G, etc. So the Huawei is still trying to enter India by backwaters. Just before we commenced our talk, one of the persons who's attending, he was asking me how Huawei is entering. Is it true or is it not true? Let me tell you, anything which Chinese does is true. I have absolutely no doubt about it. Don't ask me for a proof. I can't give you one. But Chinese are past masters in corrupting the system. Now, I'll just give you one example. All of you must be aware of what is called as One Belt, One Road and Belt and Road Initiative, in which Chinese wanted to link up its production centers with the rest of the world. China will produce everything right from A to Z, and the world should buy it from China. That is the whole concept of Belt and Road Initiative. Now, Belt and Road Initiative was given a lot of publicity in the media, etc. For me, it's not very as important as is the Technological Belt and Road Initiative. I again use the word Technological Belt and Road Initiative. Chinese have penetrated into your hardware, Chinese have penetrated into your software, Chinese have penetrated into your apps, Chinese have penetrated into every conceivable thing that you can think. And this thing is being done in a big manner. And China has an organization called Strategic Surveillance Force, SSF. If I said the name correctly, they are basically involved in all kinds of technological espionage. That is what I'll tell you. And China is a past master in technological stealing, technological espionage. And it is said today, the Chinese technology, which was at an ordinary level till about 2001, now today is almost at number 2, except possibly USA, which is ahead of China as far as the technology is concerned. We can safely say that China is today number 2 as far as technological prowess is concerned. They are a number 2 technological superpower. Now, how did this transformation come from 2001 to say today we are at 2022? It is by a method called as beg, borrow, steal. They stole every trade secret by hook or crook, by money, by getting into research establishment. In fact, the Chinese student wanted to come in Bangalore, which is called our Silicon Valley. The government tried to stop it. China knows that as far as technology is concerned, India is fairly powerful as far as the software sector is concerned. Hardware, we may not be up to the mark, though of course we are trying to develop our hardware by going in for things like microchip, etc. But software, we are definitely world class. So China wanted to penetrate that. Luckily, that has been stopped. So China is making all-out effort to get into all this field. Disinformation warfare, psychological warfare, fake warfare, perception management, fake news. I'll just give you, and the platforms are through the print media, through the electronic media, through the social media. I'll just give you one example. When the Chinese came in Ladakh, Indian media went gaga by saying, well, Chinese has got 50,000 troops there. So the Indian public would get scared. Oh, 50,000 troops have come on the Chinese border. Do you mean to say that the Indian troops were resting in Mumbai and Pune? Chinese has got helicopters there. Where were the Indian helicopters? They were in Deodari. Chinese has got guns there. Where were our guns? They were at, let's say, Nashik Road. Chinese has got tanks there. Our tanks were resting in Jhansi and Babina. The Indian media had created a scare as if the war was imminent. And if you have seen the TV news at that point of time, and I do go on fair number of TV channels, especially the Marathi ones, you will find me saying China will not fight a physical war with India. I have said it right in May 2020. Do go over these days. The archives of the TV channels are very well preserved, and you can see even what this person said about 2 years back or 3 years back or 4 years back, because it gets permanently recorded there. Everybody else was trying to scare by saying China will go to war. I said, no, they will not go to war at all. They will only keep on carrying out what is called as the hybrid war. Now, big data analysis, artificial intelligence is another thing, Now today, China is China is doing very, very well as far as the big data analysis and the other things are concerned. Disruptive technologies, as they are called. I'll speak a bit about disruptive technologies. Earlier, when we talked of warfare, when we said tank warfare, you said if you had a tank, that particular tank was replaced by a better tank, and a better tank was replaced by another better tank. A gun was replaced by a better gun. That gun was replaced by another better gun. But now a tank doesn't have to be replaced by tank. Tank can be countered by a technology called drones. And this is what happened in Azerbaijan and Armenia war, in which the war was won. Conventional power of one country was destroyed completely by the drone warfare. Okay, now you have, so therefore you have drone warfare, also called as autonomous vehicles, either on the land or at sea or in the air or underwater. Under this drones or this autonomous vehicle, which are piloted from outside without a pilot, are on land, on sea, underwater, and in the air. In the air, of course, it is we are well aware of the drones and how effectively the drones are being used. You are aware that Pakistanis initially used to carry out, infiltration physically. They used to send arms and ammunition physically with a courier. They used to send drugs physically with a courier. Now, in last year in 2021, nearly 80 drones. I give the figures once again. 80 drones have been shot down by the security forces. If 80 drones were shot down, there are many more which evaded our radar cover and went inside. So Pakistan is using drones simply because China is a superpower as far as drones is concerned. It has given all the drones to Pakistan. Okay. So today, drones, disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, quantum computing are all fields in which China is doing well. India is also has a long technological roadmap. Let us hope that we also are able to compete with China in a time frame. Economic war, I will not talk about too much. Trade war, economic war, debt diplomacy, because in the beginning, I mentioned that last 3 years, government is trying in a big way to reduce the difference between Chinese exports and Indian exports, But despite all the effort, the exports by the Chinese to India has only increased. Then you have agitational terrorism, unnecessary violence, stopping developmental activities. I mean, today the country seems to be the Indians seems to be at war with each other, trying to stop all developmental activities, So therefore, hybrid war is a combination of all the wars that I'm talking about. You don't require the whole people to come towards you. If you have a few leadership, like you must have heard of a word called urban nakshals, in which 7-8 intellectuals got together and were creating a fair amount of problem. Now the case is going on in the High Court, and they have got caught very badly because all the proof that has been put against them is based on emails, SMS, WhatsApp messages, etc., etc. Okay, you know those people, Gautam Naulakha and Milind Temtumde and Dr. And Vara Vara Rao and all those people. Okay, so what next? Environmental warfare. Yes, one would remember in last February there was one glacier, there's an accident in which a glacier crashed down and 40-50 people were buried in the state of Uttarakhand. There was a doubt at that point of time that this was possibly done by China by using direct energy weapons. Then there was another time when there was a flash flood in the areas of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. 2 years again, it was one of the reasons was possibly China did cloud seeding and they managed to flood some of our areas. China is using water war against us by trying to stop the water flow of Brahmaputra. Well, all those areas are will take a lot of time. I'll quickly go forward. I'll not talk of Galwan. I'll not talk about Indo-Chinese War. I'll not talk about this thing. My brother was martyred in the 62 war, led Lieutenant Vishnu Atle. Pakistan, I'll not talk too much. By and large, we have been able to get, we have been able to neutralize Pakistan in a big way. Pakistan now has a very serious problem. The Baluchis are rising against us. Last 1 or 2 weeks, the Baluchis have attacked the Pakistani army repeatedly, and more than 100 Pakistani soldiers have been killed. And what the Baluchis don't want is that the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which goes like this and enters into China. This is that 4,500 kilometers corridor. This is being attacked repeatedly by the Baluchis. The Northwest Frontier province is not at all happy. Pakistan thought that they did a great job by helping Afghanistan, Taliban to come into power. But today, a group based in Afghanistan called TTP, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, is repeatedly attacking the Pakistani army. And also this border between Afghanistan and Pakistan is called as the Durand line. Pakistan says this is the border. The Afghanis or the Talibanis don't recognize it. And now they have started firing from their own side of the border. So there's a fair amount of disquiet which is there in Pakistan, in the Northwest Frontier province, in the area of Gilgit-Baltistan, in the area of Balochistan. In Sindh, there's a movement called Geo Sindh, which is going on. And Punjab, which is actually the economic heartland of Pakistan, there's also a fair amount of unrest there. Okay. Now, Kashmir, I'll leave it. China, I will leave it. I spoke about the disinformation warfare, call it the propaganda warfare, call it the psychological warfare. All that I would like to tell you is we should not fall victim to this warfare. The victims of this warfare are either the government of India or the armed forces or the common people. Government of India doesn't get cowed down. Indian army, there's no question of it will ever get cowed down by the disinformation warfare of China. But common people do. A lot of common people are today scared, if something will happen, China will do something to us. But as far as the war is concerned, physical war is concerned, you don't have to worry at all. What you should, Indian army is more than capable of tackling the Chinese army. In fact, the Chinese army is scared of fighting the Indian army. If you want to know about physical warfare, some people were predicting wars in winters, some were predicting wars in summers. And kindly go on my YouTube and see what I have said at that point of time. I had said that China will not go for a war in winter. China will not go for a physical war. I'm talking of physical war. I'm talking of war of army versus army, navy versus navy, etc. Hybrid war, of course, it will continue. Economic subversion will continue. Trade war will continue. And all that thing will continue. China tried to stop your development by getting a very good company like C-Dot neutralized. Today, BHA was also neutralized. Okay. So there's a very big question which is always asked. There's an amazing race which is going on between the Indian tortoise and the Chinese hare. Who will win it? Talking of cyber attack on Australia, cyber attack on social media. In fact, since we talked about Ukraine in the beginning, Ukraine's MOD has been attacked. Ukraine's lot of government agencies have been attacked, and it has been ensured that they have been neutralized. So how do we create a firewall against China? Now this is one institution that I was telling you about. It's an institution of National Technical Research Organization, an institution called National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. Lieutenant General Pant, he is the boss. He is the presently the cyber advisor to Government of India, and they are doing a reasonable job. WTO, peace agreement, using Indian laws, etc. I leave it. Media war, how to penetrate into the Chinese media. They have a huge budget for. I must tell you something interesting. The U.S. media is busy cursing the U.S. president for a faulty policy which the USA president is using in Ukraine. And USA media is going gaga over the Chinese Winter Olympics. Why talk about Europe media? The Indian media is giving you Times of India, Indian Express, etc., a full coverage of the Winter Olympics which China is creating. Where Indians are playing at the international level, they don't even cover it. But since China has told Indian media to cover Olympics in a big way, you will find half the page of Times of India sports page is covered with the Chinese, Winter Olympics, etc. So that is how they buy our media. Chinese intelligence, I'll only talk only one word about it. Every Chinese who's outside the country is expected to work for China as a nation. How they do it, they will do it, whatever field they are, they do it there. So political war, loan diplomacy, diplomatic war, water war, how does India counter it? I'll leave it at that. They have China study centers, and there are Chinese scholarships, there are visits to China to subvert. But don't think that China is 5.5 feet tall. I'll try and finish off my talk in next about 3 to 4 minutes. China has a soft underbelly. Tibetan people are unhappy with China. Chinese social media is not there in China, but there's a lot of disquiet on the Chinese social media. And I want to tell you, and please hear it carefully, China's government today is carrying out a surveillance of the Chinese social media so that they don't talk anything against the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, but Chinese media can be penetrated. China today has a very serious problem as far as economy is concerned. You would have heard about the real estate companies that are crashing in China. You would have heard about the technological companies which are crashing against China. China का विजय माल्या होने वाला है. ये कौन बोल रहा है? मेरी ही एक prediction है. Let's hope that my prediction comes true. Okay. China, there is a lot of corruption. There is a lot of difference between the poor and the rich. That is working. And what is China's biggest weakness? China's biggest weakness is a person called Xi. He is their prime minister. He is the most powerful person as far as China is concerned. Why is the big the weakness? Because he's trying to stop everything. Anybody who goes against him becomes Xi's enemy. One of the biggest success stories of China in the corporate world, Alibaba, is just disappeared into the thin air. All the technological companies which are doing so brilliantly well have now been count down, etc. China's another problem is one-child policy. China's problem is their sex ratio has become completely topsy-turvy. They have reached a their population growth. The Chinese society is aging. Human rights violations are very high. One thing I must tell you that India has an external security budget. India has internal security budget. External security budget is that of the Ministry of Defense, and internal security is of course Ministry of Home Affairs. Recently on 1st of February, the budget was announced, and India's external security budget is nearly 4 times that of the internal security budget, meaning budget for police, budget for Central Armed Police Forces like Border Security Force, CRPF, CISF, ITBP, Sima Suraksha Bal, etc. That means India spends more money, 4 times more money in guarding the borders. While Chinese internal security budget is more than the external security budget. That means China's enemy number 1 are the Chinese people who don't agree with government of China. Xinjiang is area. The people here are Uyghur Muslims. Nearly 20 lakh Uyghur Muslims today are in concentration camps. They call it reformatories. There's a tremendous amount of human rights violations which is taking place in the Xinjiang province. Just put human rights violation in Xinjiang and you'll come to know about it. I don't have adequate time. Tibet, there is a fair amount of calming down of society of Tibet which is being done. Their culture is being being destroyed. Their religious places are being converted into tourist spots. There are the Han Chinese are settling down not only in Tibet but also in Xinjiang. I must tell you, say about 20 years back or 25 years back, almost about 90% of Xinjiang population was Uyghur Muslims. Now today, barely 45 to 50% of population of Xinjiang is Uyghur Muslims. 55% of population of Xinjiang is Han Chinese. Han Chinese are the mainland Chinese. So Han Chinese are going into Mongolia also. They're going to Xinjiang also. They're going into Tibet also, so that the Uyghur Muslims will never rise against China. Water wars some other time, Naxalism some other time, Japan, etc. some other time, strategic encirclement, some of the heroes. This is Colonel Santosh Mahadik, who was awarded Kirti Chakra, that is his wife who joined after he was martyred, Lieutenant Swati Mahadik. Okay, now since we are purely short of time, I'll very briefly talk about counter to China, One Belt, One Road, how we are constructing our roads, how we are constructing our satellite thing, how are we connecting ourselves with the nations, how are we trying to get inside our neighboring countries, etc. But purely because there's not adequate time, we will not talk about all these issues. I'll now end in next 2 to 3 minutes. So, are we countering the Chinese hybrid war or the Chinese unrestricted war properly? The short answer is, by and large, we are doing a reasonable job, but there is a vast scope for improvement. We have our policy today with regard to hybrid war is defensive in nature, meaning if they attack our grid of Mumbai, then we create a more powerful firewall to ensure that the grid is not affected. Okay. Now this, defensive means are always, they always have a shortcoming that they can always be breached, So you got to have offensive means. If they attack our electricity grid, can we attack the grid in Beijing? If they create a problem for us by having floods in the area of Uttarakhand, can we create a glacial warfare against them? If they carry out a cyber attack on our various other agencies, can we do it? The Chinese hackers, I think, if statistics to be believed, 4.5 or 5 lakh cyber attacks have taken place. Most of it we have been able to manage and not let too much of our data being stolen from our area. We need to think of Chinese. We are get worried that they are penetrating times of India. They will be penetrating into other things. Can we not? Can we penetrate into global times? Can we penetrate into this into their social media? The answer is yes. Today there are more than 9 crore Chinese who are outside China, and they have an access to their own. So if we get a Chinese on our side, we can penetrate into our. We can. Hey, Uttara, my grandson is included inside. Hey, Uttara, my grandson wants me to stop now. Okay. Hey, just 1 second, please. Hey, Uttara, just take him away. Sorry for the intrusion in between. My grandson, who's 2 years old, he wanted to contribute to this Zoom meeting, but well, he can't. Okay, so there we need to be more offensive as far as the Chinese is concerned. For example, just about few weeks back, the Indian parliamentarians attended a function of Tibet, and the Chinese threatened them. When our prime minister or president goes to Arunachal Pradesh, they threaten us. So we have to ensure that we become more offensive. We have to build up our alliances. We have our alliances with quadrilateral cooperation, etc. So we need to improve on that. We need to get other people on our side, especially the European nations, etc., and counter the Chinese. What is important is not, there's no time for showing all this to you, but what is important is that we have to ensure that our comprehensive national power is increased. It has two components, the hard power and the soft power. Economy has to be improved, military has to be still improved, the country has to be stable. We have to influence the external environment. We have to create, we have to develop in many fields. One of the simplest solutions to counter Chinese is we have to become world class in any and every field. If you are a student, be as good as Arjuna. If you are a teacher, be as good as Dronacharya. If you are a scientist, become better than Dr. Abdul Kalam. If you are a if you are a industrialist, become better than Microsoft. Whichever field you are into, you just have to be world class. Unfortunately, we are not, and we need to work hard. There may be differences in our country on many issues. I don't want to get into it. If I was somebody, I would say next 100 years, we should not talk of any differences, but we should focus on developing this country economically, technologically, and ensure that today we are 1/3 of the size of China as far as our economic power is concerned. We must be able to compete with China economically in all other fields in next 5 to 10 years. So hard power as well as soft power is what we have to do, and for that we have to learn lessons from China. Chinese people don't spend time in fighting with each other. They only work, and work. And the Chinese government ensures that nobody is allowed to stop the progress of Chinese economy. That is what we need to do if we want to fight with China as far as hybrid war is concerned. I'll stop here, and if there are any questions, if there is anything that you want to share with me, you want to tell me, that is what we will talk about. I don't know how should I stop here. Yeah, pause share. Yes, pause share. And have I been able to? I'll just stop the share and come on this thing. I'm not able to.
Yeah. You can just stop screen share.
Oh, yeah, but that I'm not able to see that stop thing at all. Okay, I can see new share. I can. Yeah, stop share. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Technology
Good.
requires to be very high. Otherwise the Zoom characters they can make a fool out of you by doing some tricks here and there. So I try to very broadly cover a lot of aspects. Time is essential, so therefore I only touched upon it. So now if there is something that you want to tell me, want to talk, etc., you can tell me.
Participants, if anybody having any question, they can interact by unmuting themselves.
In fact, I can request they can put it in the chat box. I can already see two remarks in the chat box. One is by you only. You can ask your questions now, and one is by Shri Anil Chiprulkar. He says so many different areas and views. Real eye opener, thought provoking. Thanks, Brigadier Mahajan, Dr. Limay, for getting him on this. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll show this remark to my wife at least. She feels well, I'm not doing a good job. Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Anything you would like to say? Anything you would like to?
Yeah. If anybody has any question, they can unmute themselves and ask. And prior to that, I'll just thank again Brigadier Hemant Mahajan sir for this very encouraging and inspiring talk, and totally new subject to our audience. Anyone has any questions they can ask, or Navi sir can have his concluding comment, and thereafter we can conclude.
I can only offer one remark here, that national security is a very vast subject, and it is not easy to even give an overview in the time frame. So anybody who is interested in further in it, he should go on my YouTube channel and have a look at it there. There are subjects, Pakistan, China, illegal Bangladeshi migration, Naxalism, terrorism, cyber attack, legal warfare. There are so many subjects that are there. And by and large, all these subjects, I have covered it as one episode. So anybody who's interested can follow me there on the YouTube. And I'm
sure, sir.
You can see me there also. And I, of course, write for a lot of newspapers.
Thank you, Brigadier. Actually, I had flagged China risk at least more than a decade back, when for the first time actually in Chennai, if I remember correct, a Chinese employee of one of the SIFI group companies, the SIFI was working on IMF as a client, and sitting in Chennai, this person was diverting the IMF information to China. This was one of the incidents. At that time itself, I had raised a lot of complaints that Mysore University, which was having a special course for Chinese, I said we should stop this. We should not let these Chinese be educated here. I have also pointed out that many of our IT companies, including Infosys kind of companies, have gone to China and trained Chinese software people and created competition to India. I don't see how they could not foresee that at one point of time, India had the software advantage and we had to retain it. For the sake of a small pittance of money, our companies have gone to China and made Chinese software people as efficient or perhaps more than us. And today we are having that problem. They have been able to combine the hardware and software skills together and then fighting with us. And recently, one of the things which you should look at and perhaps add is the crypto war. Okay, I have a feeling that cryptocurrency is also used as a tool of this hybrid war. And that is one of the things which we need to address as a national security risk. It is not a technology innovation, as many of the technology people think, and they are very proud of the cryptocurrencies. But actually, it is a tool of international hybrid war. And China, after amassing a lot of bitcoins at one point of time, suddenly actually turned around and then stopped bitcoins because they already have converted their bitcoins into perhaps other coins. In fact, at that time, they used to run industrial, say something like estates for mining bitcoins. So they had a strategy. One thing we can appreciate with China is for their requirement, they are doing well. Only thing is we are not able to do it, and we are actually succumbing. And definitely, you have highlighted some of these points, which were for a long time have been in my mind, and it has been finding expression in many things which I write in navi.org, which some professionals do not like. They say that I should not wade into this sort of information, but definitely we need to call out the Indians who are supporting the Chinese in terms of providing this training and other things, particularly in the software area. I am very unhappy that the big IT companies have done that for whatever they were able to earn. I think that is one point which I want you to explore further. How do we make our people realize that it is not just like shunning the buying of Chinese phones? Some of us perhaps would have done it now. For the last 2-3 years, I have not bought a Chinese mobile. Maybe I still have some 1 or 2 small things which are not available anywhere else. But and even this app, these are all very small things. This Huawei actually once, our Indian Institute of Science Bangalore was actually they set up a committee for security certification of telecom equipments, and that project was actually sponsored by Huawei at that point of time. I don't see how the committee, which had the certain people, which had the Indian Institute of Science, they were taking any money from any Chinese company for security verification of Chinese equipments. I feel that we need to actually change our attitude as a nation. I hope some of those things has changed after the current government has come, because some of these things which I am telling is from the past government. I hope it has ended. And I thank you for having raised some of these issues. I am quite happy. I hope others also have received your this thing in the right spirit, and definitely they have all enjoyed. Okay.
Yeah, now is there one question?
There is
one question.
Yeah, there are 2-3 questions that have come up in the chat box. There are 2 questions that have come up in the chat box. I can just quickly cover it up. You know, do I have your permission?
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, let me just. In fact, now more number of remarks have come up. I'll just very quickly cover up. Of course, one of you saying it's an eye opener. Thank you very much. Many facts have come up. We all are information warriors, and what Vijay Shankar ji said was he brought in many more factors, and he talked about Indians cooperating with Chinese in various fields. So that is the biggest problem today. One quality which every Indian requires is patriotism. Be Indian, buy Indian, Swadeshi. Now, Swadeshi, we can extend it to cover up other things, Unfortunately, that is something, despite government trying, we are not succeeding. That's a problem. Okay, more of it I'll just tell you later. There's a question from Shri Irfan Ahmad Sheikh. As the situation is evolving, do we foresee as a nation a conventional war with China and Pakistan, and when? China is scared of fighting a war with Indian army, so they'll not fight a war. Please underline the sentence again, Ifranji. China, I repeat, China is scared of Indian army. It will not fight a war with India, physical war, conventional war. I'm not talking of hybrid war. And as far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan doesn't need to fight a war because they are creating adequate problems for us by using a tool called terrorism. Okay, in the state of J&K and many other places, especially narco-terrorism is one place where Pakistan is succeeded tremendously. Khalistani terrorism is another field where they are doing a very good job. Okay, so Pakistan doesn't require Pakistan doesn't require a war. In fact, they started off terrorism only because they were scared of fighting a conventional war. Mr. Subramaniam says, great session. Suma says, thank you everybody. Subramaniam ji says, outright ban. Yeah, there's a question. Do you think India should outrightly ban Chinese equipment and shed the shyness? Now, at the cost of appearing hawk, I'll want to answer this question. Government is trying very, very hard to reduce dependency on China. And believe me, I can talk for next 8 hours on Atmanirbhar Bharat, what all has been done, how we are creating infrastructure, etc. But the fact remains, government has not been able to do it simply because the Indian importers, the Indian lobby wants to keep on buying cheap stuff from China and make profit. That is the whole issue. And not only that, a lot of illegal trade takes place when imports take place. I'll just give you one example. All the trades take place in containers. Now you say in a container there's a 1 crore worth of goods, Now and so you pay taxes on the GST, etc. on 1 crore goods, Now if it's 9 crores, can anybody check up? Can the containers be opened up? To cut the story short, no containers are opened up simply because you have to clear them unless there's a suspicion, unless you think there's a narcotic, unless you think there's something, etc., etc. Today, the Chinese currency, which is basically, I just forget the name, the Chinese currency in black market is twice that in white market. That means people are buying Chinese currency, yuan, yes, I got the name. Yuan today is about 8 to 9 rupees per yuan in the official market, while in the black market, it is for 15 rupees, 16 rupees. Of course, data is of a few months back. Now, why should anybody buy yuan in black market when it is available cheaper in official market? Simply because all these traders, or at least many of them, or at least some of them, are buying stuff which are over invoiced, and then they pay the money by courier, etc. Okay, we have to go all out to cut this guardian's knot called China. And my personal opinion is that we have to stop them everywhere. Otherwise, this kind of a half-hearted measures will not do. Unfortunately, there's a set of economic advisors, who advise, no, if Chinese are giving us cheap goods, then we should buy it because it helps India to grow. No, I do not subscribe to this particular view. I would have told you as to how they teach swimming in the Indian Army, that some of us some of the people who came from mountainous area did not know swimming. So 24 hours they told them how to swim, and next day they threw them into the water, and then the next 2 to 3 days they just managed to keep their neck above the water. Indian corporate world has to be told, rise. If you don't, we are going to stop all the Chinese imports from tomorrow, from a particular time frame onwards. Otherwise, they will never stop it because we are not able to match the pricing mechanism of the Chinese. Okay, Ramesh Kohota is in commercial interest versus national interest. That is the whole issue. Commercial interest of only few people. That is what I would like to tell you. Okay, government has started this productive linked incentive scheme, etc. Let's hope that it succeeds. I think we have already overshot timing by nearly 18 minutes. So I'll hand over the mic to Dr. Mahajan Limai. Yeah, Dr. Limai.
Yeah, I once again extend thanks to Brigadier Hemant Mahajan sir, and thank you all for joining this particular session. Hope to meet you next Wednesday with some new speaker and new topic. Till then, good night. Thank you, Brigadier sir, once again. Thank you all. We just
Thank you.
log out.
and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Mahajan.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you.